What's going on, y'all? It's J Smell Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Bringing you guys the ever so rare flashback review on this channel. As you see, this is going to be a Saga versus BDot review, which has dropped today on the URL channel. Classic battle. I'd almost say a cult classic battle, but no question, quality-wise in the classic conversation. Humongous piece of 2020 battle rap, and I don't do flashback reviews all that often, but especially with URL dropping battles from the app, a few years after they happen, there's kind of like a whole new wave crowd of people that get to see it from YouTube and talk about the battle all over again. So whenever I get the chance, when they do drop these older battles, and if I haven't done a review for it, so basically anything that's over 2-3 years old, which is about as old as this channel has been, I don't mind going back and breaking down the tape a little bit, man. Saga versus BDot is one of the best dialogue-based battles. Obviously, there was kind of a long time we were waiting for this conversation. Loso kind of gave when Loso and BDot battled, it kind of gave a little view of what, BDot versus a Christian battle rapper would be like in that dialogue, but this is around the time that both of them were at their absolute peak. We're talking about BDot around the COVID time, Empty Rooms, which we know he was one of the guys that really took advantage of that, looked like one of the best in the world when the world kind of shut down. And then this is around when Saga was absolutely at his peak too. Not the initial PG push, but the second run with the Chef Trez win, which was a great battle, the JC battle, the Rum Nitty battle, and then obviously the BDot battle here, I feel was like the culmination of everything. This is probably the battle that got him to know him. Obviously, things kind of went downhill after this, but you're looking at two guys that had kind of a grudge going, not in the traditional, we hate each other sense, but just different ideologies that were ready to kind of have that debate. And it ended up being, I think, even better than anyone could have possibly expected. So without further ado, let's get right into the first round. So battle starts out on the Saga, leads off with, proper being that this was rooftop West Coast, the Bishop on the roof bar. From there gets into the Castaway bar. I thought that was dope. The Cutthroat, that's where beheading. I thought that was dope. The Caffeine Scheme, what I'm saying, we miss you, baby. But early years, what I'm saying, at the time. So that was dope. The Buffer Sign bar I thought was clever too. Going in and out of consciousness, EMT checking on his vitals, obviously consciousness, but also being a conscious rapper, which everyone has conscious bars for BDot, right? So one of the better bars of this round. The 3 rounds, you got the 3 rounds of Rum watered down. This is around right after when BDot battled and kind of very clearly beat Rum Nitty on this exact same roof. Got into a bit of a preacher impression, which people always, it's funny coming from a Christian rapper in this particular situation, but obviously kind of the critique that BDot had a preachy style, right? So you had a few people that would kind of take that angle on him. The Indian Reservations bar I thought was dope. He also had the Nature Calls bar that led directly into the Darwin bar, obviously Darwinism. So kind of has a little bit of almost a nature theme with his last few bars. The first, and listen, I think it is a good first round. I think obviously in a battle like this, all of the rounds are good, but I do think it is one of probably the weakest round, especially of his own in comparison. And then it also got matched up against BDot's best round of the battle, and he starts out with needed to catch my breath, kind of a performance bar. I needed to catch my breath since I was chasing for so long. So kind of referring, he's been chasing Saga in a sense, which just goes to show that, like I said, it's not like the traditional grudge where there's problems, but people, including these two, wanted that conversation to go happen for so long. It's something both of them mentioned really through the years leading up into the battle. I was not talking about him not doing a PG, which BDot obviously didn't do to get on URL, and did it in a plant scheme. Which kind of goes back to people being plants. That's the thing about BDot, is that he's very big on double scheming, or if he's using a particular scheme, it's also, there's a specific reason he chose that list of stuff. He's not the type of guy to just have a flower scheme. You know what I'm saying? It would have to be related to something like, oh, now I'm giving you your flowers, or resting your flowers on your grave. Not saying he's done exactly that, but extremely layered writer. His name's LeBron, but this PG's not needed. Obviously, LeBron plays the point for pretty much whichever team he plays for. And it's all very layered writing, and even more so the structure of how he's rapping it. I think the big difference in the first is really the energy on top of that, and just the way they're going about their flow pockets. This clip I built a bond with, extended family, that was dope. The biblical narrative, Moses bar was definitely dope. The slumped on the roof hangover bar, I thought that was fucking fire as well. The voodoo witch bar was dope. So at this point, I mean, he's just landing back to back to back. The Hoover sign bar was dope. The absolute 100% rum, so kind of almost like a response in a sense. I love when battlers, when they both are going to kind of attack some of the same subjects. A Lux call out, which to this day people are going to want BDot and Lux, and I'll tell you right now, I do not think we will ever see BDot rap again. I'm pretty firm about this, and I felt this way for a while. But there was a time, man, when it felt like Lux and BDot could probably be like the best, most like making sense styles matchup for Lux. Obviously that time just came and went, but this was around the peak of it, so a Lux call out really isn't the craziest thing for those that didn't get to see kind of BDot's prime in real time. What they say to get rid of something, you roof the shit, which is fire. Might be my favorite bar of his first round. The expecting, know it was coming bar was dope. The Kennedy, you were Oswald that day bar, I thought that was dope. The Waze bar, I felt like there was so many Waze app bars around this time too. And then ends it off with the Tower of Babel body language bar. So, BDot was, back to back in this first. He clearly got the first round too, but it's a little worrisome at first because as good as Saga was at the time, I would say that BDot was also kind of looked at as the more respected, kind of cemented top tier talent. So when he takes a 1-0 lead like that, it almost felt like it could set the tone, even with a good Saga first, for what the rest of the battle could have been like. But for anyone that has seen this battle, which should be a lot more people now, you know that this is a battle that gets better as it goes. Even though you could debate BDot's first as his best round of the battle, I feel like it's a dialogue-based battle, so the more they angled, that's what made the battle more special as it goes, and that'll lead into the conversation they have in the third, which is really what gets the battle talked about so much. But both of them picked up the angling a lot in the second too, and it starts with Saga with really a style breakdown off rip. One of my favorite bars he had in it was the dot bounce on the words so y'all can keep along, which was really his opener, and speaks on BDot, a scheme heavy style, kind of like emphasizing the words as he goes. I just feel like there's always going to be style breakdowns, but the more kind of accurate or applicable they are, obviously I'm going to like it more. It leads that into a couple punches. The Umar Johnson bar was dope. The pause to attack you where the ref's calling a travel, I thought that was solid as well. The BB Winan bar I thought was dope. And then this is where you get into more, I guess, like deeper content. In a minute, there's a bar I really want to show as an example, but Cat kind of talks about depression. Always been a guy who's like big on mental health, so kind of has an angle in here about it. Leads it into the woke. Used the pineal gland as a stigmatism. I thought that was fire. The told my students aim higher, B isn't good enough, A, B, C, obviously the grading scale, but very good punch. And then, I speak on substance, and I always say life content. You'll hear me say that a lot reviewing certain battlers. I feel like Calico is one of those people. I could name plenty of different examples, right? But he says, the shepherd with no direction is as lost as the sheep. And it's kind of an angle I feel like people took against BDot often, being that his brand was so, like, revolutionary, right? Like, he was trying to get people to listen to him. So when you had this preacher, type of stigmatism on your name, you heard so many different angles of people trying to say, like, he's a false prophet, he can't lead people. But sometimes the simplest thing, a life saying, a shepherd with no direction is as lost as the sheep. For me, it's one of the most fire bars of the battle, while also being really not one of the most complex. So when I say life applicable content, I really think that's like a textbook perfect example of it. Using faith as a crutch, but it isn't prosthetic, I thought that was fire. The menace to society scheme, I thought that was dope as well. And then, oh my god, Dot plays a part in the system. It's Dewey Decimal, which is the library system with obviously the dots kind of organized in the books, but that was fire, and really breaking down BDot the whole time, and speaking a little bit to the hypocrisy in his image, which once again many people would attack him with. I feel like writers for the most part were the only ones, like JC before this, Chilla obviously after this, and then Saga really did some of the best work in terms of like attacking the character, the optics of BDot more than anything. So the Dewey Decimal System, ridiculous. It's easy to look down straight out of Compton cover. I thought that was fire. And then really a classic moment here at the end of the second. And being that this was at a time when police brutality was at its height, the George Floyd incident that just happened, and you have the kind of like the civil rights flip on Clean Papers, bitch stop watching Smack, and then him obviously saying the police stop killing blacks. Powerful, you know what I'm saying? And this is why people get so behind this battle, because not only did they obviously speak directly to each other, but they tackle a lot of, like world topics. And I think that both of them did it in an extremely intelligent way. That's why you send two of the best writers to have a conversation like this. And then you have BDot in the second, which I think his second is still very good as well. Opens up with a gambling addict angle at Saga. It's like a suicide type of concept in there as well. The commentate after that, the commentate Bob Costa bar I thought was dope. A lot of NWX angles in the second, going after kind of Saga's relationship with DNA. You know what I'm saying? Painting this picture of DNA kind of helping him through battle rap, and obviously the whole NWX situation, which is an angle Saga heard very much so after he left the group. Of course, a dude with no voice will go to the Horseman, which I thought was extremely fire. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle scheme I thought was dope. The Rodent scheme I thought was dope. He just has such a way of and it is very Lux-like, how many just little schemes he sprinkles throughout. And if you're really not listening, you're not going to pick up on just how many schemes he uses throughout the battle. DNA gave you the conviction of a killer. That was fire. Reminds me a lot of Big K's second. It was his second or first round versus Ill Will. DNA proved you're not a killer, but that was still fire. The Doctor Strange bar, before we had heard 17,000 of them. Speaking on, Saga being a Christian, a preacher, but he couldn't save NWX. And that's something I feel like people always said to Saga is, you're trying to save everybody, but why can't you save those closest to you, those in your group? Always an effective way of attacking him at the time. The X-Men, the crowd will chair if you change minds. I thought that was dope. And then ends it with the bank scheme as well. So once again, an extremely well-written second by BDot, but I think in a battle of dialogue, and maybe for me, this is what the battle for some people will come down to as we go and talk about the third round. But I thought Saga got after him in the second. And to be perfectly honest with you, even though it's a battle that's heralded for how classic, kind of maybe, a conversation, you would figure it's close, but I very clearly gave BDot the first, and I've always clearly gave Saga the second as well. Not just because he's running with him bar for bar, but I really think versus such a great all-time angler, in my opinion, versus BDot, Saga out-angled him in this second on top of that. So I had it as a very fire, but even 1-1 going into the third. And as you get into the third round of this battle, while the entire battle is great, fantastic, the third is what makes it so special. When you see people put it in their all-time best battle talks or call it a classic battle, this third is really like the epitome of why. I feel like conversationally, this is the peak of kind of like BDot almost speaking up against Christianity, and then Saga in many ways, he's couple angles, especially one historic one for his career we're going to speak on, but also him speaking up for Christianity. So very ideologic based thirds from both. So you're gonna have a drastic different view on both depending on how you feel about this rather controversial topic in real life, right? So just worth saying, and why it's a deep thought, it's a thought-provoking battle. But it starts out once again with Saga in the third, the Adam Uncut Gems bar, obviously Adam Sandler movie came out around the time, fire. The wrestling bars, which Saga always has a couple wrestling bars, like a Rock, like a DNA, one of our battlers that is always very open about his love for wrestling, which BDot will talk about a little bit in his third, but he's a Steve Blackman bar, a Roman Reigns bar, both of those were pretty dope. The Egyptian God breakdown, where he was going through the Egyptian gods and being another extra layer of tailored, being how much BDot had rapped about Egyptian gods in his past battles, and one of those that there's certain concepts in this battle with how great both of them wrote. I wouldn't be doing it a service to try to give you, literally the line for line breakdown. But the way he went through that whole concept was fire, and it leads directly into what, in my opinion, makes it the best round of Saga's career, the best round of the battle, and almost like really a historic round in a sense, and that is the college football angle versus BDot. When people found out, or at least many people, including myself, found out that BDot played college football, but the way he sets it up to mirror, like on one half, him playing college football, but him also being a blood and being in a gang and playing those concepts off each other throughout the angles, perfectly executed. The hand signs of being redshirted. Obviously, you get redshirted in college football. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't play for the year, they redshirt you. And from there, going to talking about how he got kicked out of school because of his grades. Like, that was the reason he got kicked out. And it leads into the punch that, even for those that haven't seen this battle, you've probably seen this one where he was like, he had dreamed, he was in a field, but he wasn't in the field. He had dreams about being Emmett Smith, then went to preach about Emmett Till. Crazy haymaker, one that even in an empty room battle, where I've said they both get to rap perfectly through their material for the most part, the whole battle. They actually got reaction. Like, they had to stop the battle for that. I mean, it's up there for like probably one of the best executed haymakers of Saga's career. Even in an empty room, I do consider it's haymaker level material. But he really doesn't even stop there. He's the Lux, being the heir of Lux angle afterwards. Speaking of BDot, like we said, BDot calling out Lux in the first, the conversation about the similarity in their styles at the time. You went from doing drills with cones to running pyramid schemes. Fire. The Pan-African, but those choices never panned out. Fire. Garvey had a heart of Christ, speaking on Marcus Garvey as well. So once again, the conversation of Christianity, I'm not going to say like anti-Christianity, but the difference in views he really gets into at the end of the third here. The bow to a beast bar was fire. The Horace Grant bar was fire as well. They call you rooftop dot. You've hit your ceiling. Extremely fire, especially with all the roof talk at the time for Dot. I think that's probably the best name flip that I'm not, because obviously the battle is so much more than name flips, but that's probably the best name flip Saga had in the battle. And then talking about how BDot's slogan was bit from Revelation. So once again, playing into that conversation, it's really a masterful third from Saga. But then BDot has to respond as well. It has the asthma attack bar at the top of his first, the Allen Iverson bar, which is the AI step over, the Lou Will practice situation. Or no, it didn't have to do with Tyronn Lue, but it was just the AI, practice. So that was fire. The pyramid building bar, also very dope. Followed by the St. Louis scheme. So it's so heavy in his writing bag. I feel like for how great of an angler BDot is, you could debate on the pen side, like just the pure writing, punches, schemes, that BDot had the edge in this versus what was you would think is in reverse, but a very angle-heavy Saga approach. But that was fire. Using ancient text to convey a message, talk about the Bible, but also using ancient text. I thought that was fire. The pin down, that's why you fell in love with wrestling. I thought that was fire as well. Goes right against Saga, who used wrestling bars in the third. So just a perfectly crafted like set of attacks and counterattacks from both of them in this battle. Then gets in his response to the whole religious kind of conversation, the religious looking at Christ only angle. Most of them don't know what they want. Most talking about fans and really people that follow religion. Most of them don't know what they want until they get it. And that George Floyd's cop also prayed to Christ too. So powerful stuff, you know what I'm saying? The conversation that they're having. The Willie Lynch bar after is also fire. And then the perfect ending to a battle like this where BDot extends the hand and they have almost like that iconic photo of them shaking hands on the roof during that sunset. And really like the perfect way of them to have, in battle rap, that it's such a hostile sport, and after them going after each other for 3 rounds the way they did, to kind of both have such a conversation-heavy third, which is what people wanted this matchup for, but then also to end it with respect at the end, especially about the social climate that we were in around the time, with police brutality, everything that had happened with George Floyd, how heavy that was on people's hearts. It's just the perfect ending to a third, and it's that real full circle moment that makes it feel so classic. And both of them have great thirds, but for me, like I said, it's the best third of Saga's career. It's such a standout. And while there's debates within that, it's ideologies in this one. It's not so clear cut. I still gave Saga the third round of this battle and actually had him winning the battle overall 2-1, second and third. But that is my full review here for BDot versus Saga. An extremely special battle, and I think timing has everything to do with it too, being that, we talk so much about battles that miss the mark grudge match-wise, and I do consider this a grudge match, although it's not the grudge match in the sense that something happened between us, so now we have to talk. It's a grudge match based around the dialogue, based around different beliefs, and we talk so much about battles that kind of missed the window, and they didn't, and this is a battle that had to wait to happen, but it didn't wait and miss its window. It waited, and then both of them ended up battling at the exact right time when they were both at their best and best equipped for this conversation. And plus, this was important for battle rap as a whole, because not just of the social climate, the convo that they're having that makes this transcend battle rap a bit in a sense, but also around this COVID time, people didn't know what was going to happen. Worldwide didn't know what was going to happen across a lot of things, but in battle rap, we had the quarantine and the video battles, but there's only so long we're going to, that's going to go along. But Avo's rooftop and the battles they got off of Avocado's rooftop became, an iconic setting. There's a reason that Full Circle brought it back, and now people mention certain battles that they want in a rooftop setting. And granted, it's not the first rooftop battle by any means. When you go back to Newborn versus Super Writer, this has been a part of battle rap, but what Saga and BDot did up there, other battlers said it inspired them to get more in their writing bag and inspired them to want to go and battle on the rooftop. So it just happened at a perfect time for battle rap, for the world at large. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things that go into this battle, and you just don't get ones like this often, where, I have Saga second and third, and I'll probably debate that to the death as well, but people debate the subject matter in this even more so than just debating straight up who won, because it is a battle that sparks a more thought-provoking conversation, and just a high intelligence level battle. There's really no other way to put it. So obviously a big fan of it, and I believe a long time ago I did a top 5 battles that should drop to YouTube from the URL app, and even if we're like a year and a half, 2 years removed from that, I'm glad that this battle finally gets that larger platform, because it is absolutely one of the best battles on the app. They're giving us a great one with this one, and one that I hope to see the views run up a little. And I don't know if it'll ever hit a mill or anything like that, but hope to see it get a lot of love today, because it's a battle that deserves that type of recognition, man. But want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment down below. Who do you have winning the battle? What's some of your favorite bars from the battle? Any of your general thoughts, you know what I'm saying? Even if you just want to show some love and praise it, it's one of those that deserves it. And of course, pretty much next video, granted, URL's dropping announcements for Outside 3, so maybe that full card will drop. We'll get predictions done on that, but it's end of the year content, man. Good chance next video you get from here is going to be some type of top 5 recapping 2024. But it's been J Smo Reviews again here, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.